Baruch Hashem. We're learning the Vekis, the Siyat D'Shmaya. So let's go right into it. We're speaking now about a number of different yichudim, different names of God, in order to fuse ourselves with Hashem in a very real way. So let's see it. And like we mentioned, some of what we're going to talk about for the next day is just going to be flashes, and you'll store this in a certain place. At different times in your life, these things will come back to help you and give you insight to guide you. Sometimes save a person at different times of his life. But some of this is also just going to be exactly that, stored as a flash, and then we'll come back to it at later times. So says the Rebbe, Havaya b'nikud cholim. There's such a thing as imagining Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, where all of the letters have a vowelization of a cholim. The cholim is the O, is the dot at the top left of the letter, the O. Okay? Cholim.
What is the O?
The O is the O sound, the vowelization. Like O. So it'd be like a Yud with an O. Yo. Sounds like all my Israeli kids. Yo. Yo. Okay? So all the letters would have that vowelization. You don't say that. Also, don't say that name. You're like, that's also like pronouncing the name. The vowels are very, very high things. This is stuff that the Arizal talks about. It's very, very high stuff. Very high stuff. So the first thing is just imagining that name with that vowelization in your mind's eye. Yes?
How it sounds, or like imagining it like as letters with the
both. Both. Be careful with how it sounds because you don't want to say anything, you don't want to pronounce it. But just starting with what we talked about, that Yud Kei Vav Kei means Haya Hoy V'Viyeh, that God, you always were. You always existed. Think about that for a second. You always existed. Forever. As ancient as you could go back. You're before all of that. Which means you're outside of time. And that same God that has always existed, Hoveh, is right here now. There's a feeling of, wow, it's amazing. So and will always be. So as we pierce out back into eternity, so to speak, we leave the realm of time. That world, while you're having that meditation, while you're experiencing that, imagine Yud Kei Vav Kei with the O, the cholim on each letter. The Rebbe is saying that this is a segula. This was an eitzah. Remember we talked about that the Arizal said, try this at home. As opposed to don't try this at home. No. Try this at home. And if you're thinking like, this stuff is like for like real advanced, like Kabbalistic circles, we all have some level in this. Just in the beginning level. That when you think, we say God's name all the time. Baruch Atah Hashem. So what are you thinking about? It's a Shulchan Aruch, Siman Hey. You're supposed to think about that Hashem, you're the master of the world, and you always were, are, and forever will be. You're beyond time and space. So now just add a dimension of feeling, thinking about those letters, so to speak, in your mind's eye. Or look at it. If you're really into it, you can get different Kabbalistic artwork where they draw out the letters for you. And you have them in your room. I remember the first time I went to Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, Hakoy and Shlita's home. I just remember walking into his office, which is right, like he's got a special setup, like you can walk right in. And just, I remember he was sitting in this big, like a chair like this, but much bigger. And he was like, I just felt like I was with something, some energy that was so big. And then he hugged me and kissed me. And I remember just looking behind him, and there was just a big picture of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And just being in there like, don't mess around. So you could do that also. Just make sure you can't change diapers in front of it. You have to be like, it's Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's real stuff. So there's such a thing as, seeing God's names. We have it in a shul. Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Tamid. To go to, if somebody wants, I could tell you where to go. I know a person that makes them beautifully. To get yourself a Shivisi. A Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Tamid. Beautiful, with klaf, with diyai, beautiful. A Shivisi. I say Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Tamid. A beautiful Shivisi. That you start to picture and see God's name. Like the Mosak Midvash Siddur has that Geshmaka, like at the first page there, right? It has the Rebbe's Shivisi there. And you just look at that and you're like, that's probably a good thing to look at. You get this feeling like there's something pretty good about looking at that, as opposed to, I won't mention the alternative that's being offered when you open up the Getchkala. But looking at the Shivisi, that's like, it's first of all, it's just called halacha. Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Tamid. So now the Rebbe is adding, Hayichud Arishan hu Hashem Hashayach L'midas Hadvekis, v'hu Shem Havaya shekol ois yosav menukodos benikud cholim. All the letters have that cholim, have the O. So you start just thinking about that because we're saying Baruch Atah Hashem all the time. So my takeaway for you guys today is pick one bracha a day. One a day. Try to make it the same one. Try to make it a bracha also that you know you'll have Yishuv Adas for. That you'll be a bit in a calm state. Whether it's, your first Netilas Yadayim of the day, or certain Asher Yotzar, or Hamapil, whatever, you choose. When you get to Yud Kei Vav Kei, you really make an effort to think, Haya, Hayve God, you always existed. The same God is here right now, and you always will exist. And I see Yud Kei Vav Kei in my mind as with the Chaylim, every letter. And I spend time in that place until I get fired up a little bit. Okay? One bracha a day. Yeah, there.
It's as you're saying it, you should say it for a long time so you can meditate on that before you say the shame or after.
No, you don't have to say Adoi. You don't have to do you can do before. It's ideal if you could do it during, or like the tzaddikim do, you can say it and then you go into a niggin. But it doesn't mean that you have to be doing Kriya Shema on your bed and Bona da 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 da, and it's I'm sleeping here, man. Yeah, Ilan.
But there is a way to practice the mantra to get more into the body. Can you teach us?
So that's what we're talking about now. Is going through the name, singing a little bit, and nigan ma'orer, and just practicing. This is just basic. This is a Shulchan Aruch. Just thinking. Don't say that. Don't say the names. Yeah. Don't say the names. Okay? Maybe we should just move on. But you can see the letters, and then when you say Adnos, Aleph Dal Nun Yud, you have that in mind. Okay. V'yitzaras Hashem HaKodesh b'machshavtei. And then you picture the name in your machshava. V'toich kadei ha-machshav b'shem HaKodesh. While you're thinking about it, you can lahargish b'kol libay ech hu nidbak b'Hashem yisboach. And while you're thinking about it, start to feel, Hashem, I'm connected to you. Thank you. The same God that always was, is, and forever will be wants a relationship with me, with all my baggage and all my hang-ups and all my deficiencies and all my pettiness. Loves me and wants a relationship with me. And allow that to fill you. The more that you increase this, the more that a person does this, they'll see that they start getting very, very lit up, very, very inflamed with God consciousness. You could do this if you're at a wedding. This is one of my favorite. You're at a wedding and your mom is dancing with the chassan. So, obviously you're dancing with him, but you could just see this name and you just lebedik. You're feeling so close to reality. Use that as a moment of you're standing by a chuppah So just allow that name to just come to you with the vowelization, not saying anything, just thinking it. And allow the feelings of, oh my goodness, so beautiful, it's so amazing, the wedding, Chosn Kala, Baruch Hashem. Or in a beautiful moment, something good is happening and you really feel close to Hashem. So anchor it onto that name. Okay, you see where we're going here? This is not like an esoteric thing. This is using that as an anchor to connect that beautiful experience to Hashem. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niv'roi. Amen. Okay, the next yichud is called the Sulam. Okay? The Sulam. This week's parasha. Sulam mutzav aretz v'roish migia shamayma. And the malachim are oilam v'yardim boy. The dream of Yaakov. Hayichud hasheni hu ha'aliyah lefi seder ha'olamas. Something he actually spoke about before in the area of Bittul. That you're able to learn how to go up all the spiritual worlds and come down. It's a bit of you're flying through the spiritual worlds. Then you're coming down, and you're flying back up, and you're coming back down. Kefishis bar la'el b'maimer al bittul. I want everyone to go see over there. Perek beis b'ha'ara b'sif beis. V'tzar kol ben aliyah. Every person who's really a ben aliyah, somebody who's striving to be great. Kefi koyach nafsha, according to the power of his soul. B'chol eis mitzvah, whenever he has the opportunity. Liois mitapes va'oila. I love this language. You have to climb up. Mitapes, start climbing. Va'oila, and go up. Mitapes v'yarid, and then climb down. Climb up and down. Up, down. Up, down, like Bitcoin. Up, down, in gold. Up, always, right? Mamish. Up, down, but always going up. But you have to know the side. You have to go up and then down, and then up and then down. It's like the shuckling. Going forward and back. Forward and back. Forward and back. But up and down. Up and down. Dehainu. Shiakanis la kabbalas ol. You receive upon yourself, God, you told me to keep the mitzvahs. Kabbalas ol means, yeah, even if I'm not in the mood, I'm going to do it. Even if I'm not in the mood, I'm going to wake up for Shachris. No, I'm not in the mood, I'll get up for Shachris and I'm like feeling it, Rab. No, even if I'm not in the mood. Because an Eved wakes up no matter what. That's what the Melech demands. We have a hard time in our generation with this institution of the Melech. But it's very important, it's real. The Melech is real. So the Kabbalah's all means, Hashem, whether I'm feeling it or not, I'm loyal to you. Because the person who says, I'm going to have love for you, Hashem, but when I'm not feeling it, then I'm not going to have love, then who really are you in love with?
Yourself.
Yeah, beautiful. You're in love with yourself because you're in love with God when it suits you. So you're in love with yourself. Which means that all that love wasn't really being directed towards God. The baseline is a Kabbalah's all is Hashem, I'm a loyalist to you. I'm one of the allies in this fight. And that's going to be one of the first things that when Hashem reveals himself fully in the times of Mashiach, he's going to ask all those who are loyal to me, please come forward for your reward. That's what it says. And all those that were the loyalists, Hashem is going to say, you were loyal to me when it wasn't clear, when I was, so to speak, on the run, when I was exiled from my throne, and you stayed loyal to me. So now that I'm back on my throne, come for your rightful reward. Yeah?
So then why regarding the Holocaust do you say it's okay if people, because it's terrible things that they saw,
the Holocaust, we have nothing to say. There's no answers. There's no answers. Like the famous Ramban that came down from Shemayim, some of the students, they said, when they went up, they were asked that we would come down and say why all these terrible things were happening. We've gone through a lot of pogroms and stuff. Mengele was Yimach Shemo v'Zichro, putting metal wires in the nose and out through the ears. This is the greatest evil. So when the Ramban heard, he said, so what did they say up there? So he said, Down here where you are, in this world, there's no answers for these things. But up here, where I am, there's no more questions. Down here in this world, there's no answers. But up there, there's no more questions. We see how everything fit in together. We can't answer that. The way we see it is that God owes us quite a big explanation. And we know that He will give that to us. The one day where you begin to see, even down here, is called Purim. That's why Purim is the only holiday that's going to continue forever. Because even down here, we, in some crazy way, realize that everything is insane as it was, and is all part of that plan. But Jews have an expression, not every day is Purim. Not every day is Purim. As much as people try to, get involved and get ready, not every day is Purim. Down here we have no answers. But up there, there's no more questions. So as we go through this level of number one, Kabbalah's Ol, Hashem, we're loyal to you. We're loyal to you. And there were many, Kobe, who even through all that remained exceptionally strong. Which is, just that in itself should be a very, very powerful message. We never judge those that weren't. We can't even speak about it. But those that came out and they were still, not only, they rebuilt. This is an unbelievable thing. On our level, Hashem is asking, number one is Kabbalah Soul. Accept that all. V'achar kach la'ava v'yira v'devekus. Then after there's a baseline of loyalty, so now I'm committing, to you. I'm in love. Now the feelings can flow. By the way, this is one of the ideas of getting married. Is first, there's a Kabbalah's ol. Ashrei ha'ish asher noisa ol min urav. Praiseworthy is the man that takes upon himself the ol from his youth. And Chazal say that's the ol, that's the yoke of marriage. Even the word marriage, by the way, you know what the word marriage is? Nisuin. You know what nisuin means? To carry. But yeah, it's going to marry. It's going to be great. Yeah. Let's get some iced coffees together. It'll be so sweet. We have our parents' credit cards. It's going to be great. You're accepting that you're gonna carry this person. You're going to be there. So until that's there, there's no real love and dvekus between the couple. If there's no commitment, they haven't accepted, I will take care of you the rest of my life. So what is there? We're in love. But there's no commitment. So what is that? What is that? It's not it. So too with Hashem. By the way, everything in real relationships is an analogy of Hashem. It's all an analogy. This whole world's one big analogy. So we start going up. V'achar kach hisboinenus v'tshuk v'slavus. V'achar lebittel. And higher and higher and higher, and then bittel. V'az yored shuv melamal lamata. And then all of a sudden I come back down. And then I want to go back up again. And then I come down. And when I get to that state of bittel, it's like, and then I want to go up even higher. And then I come down. And then I go higher and come down. And this goes through all the spiritual worlds also. Ki haklal biyichudim hu shemitzad echad yesh laharach b'kol yichud. The general principle when it comes to yichudim is that you want to stay in a certain yichud consciousness for a prolonged period of time. Ad sheyargish hu mismala ba'oray, till he feels like he's totally being filled with this light. Aval mitzad sheni, however, from the other perspective, I efshar lahasher al makom echad. You can't stay in the same place. Yosemidai har bizman. You can't stay there too long. V'tzarach lalois v'laredis v'shuv lalois. To go up and then down and then go up to a higher level and then down to a higher level. That's the whole name of the game, is that you're moving. The relationship has to be dynamic. It's not stagnant. If a person says, you know your wife? And it's like, yeah, I know like the back of my hand. Shlomo would talk about this. So, is it going well? It's not going well. What do you mean you know her, everything about her? She's so deep, she's so infinite. So he said that's what the Malachim came to do when Avram was sitting, waiting for the guests. And they said, Aya Sarah Ishtra, where is Sarah, your wife? And Avram said, Hine hi ba'oil, she's in the tent. She's so beyond, she's so hidden, she's so deep. All I know is that she's doing very, very wondrous, deep things. Who she is, I'm just learning who she is. Even though we've been married, I'm 100 years old, she's 90 years old. We've had, almost a century of marriage. But just who she is, she's a prophetess, she's deep, she's in the neshama. So that's the yichud, is the idea of I'm always going to a higher darga. This idea of the sulam, I'm going up and then down. You have to get into that mind frame. Mati v'loy mati, I'm going up, I almost touch it and then I come back. Then I come up and I almost touch it again. Oh, it's like you're touching it and then like that feeling of like almost there and then going to a higher level, and then a higher level, and then a higher level. We mentioned this in Tanya. This is also the Indian of a soivev and then a panim, and then going to a higher soivev and then a panim, a higher soivev, a makif, and then making it a more panim. B'ezrat Hashem, let's continue to go up the sulam, have the sulam mutzav arat rishim megia shamayim with Mashiach tzidken v'hervi yameinu. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, tomorrow there's a very amazing. Tomorrow we're going to do a parsha because the Aleichem is going on a trip, and then you'll see the next yichud is like. If you think this is like a trippy picture, just get ready for the Tehillim Museum. Get ready for the next. We had a sponsor. Just get ready for the next.
Give me one of those.
It's gonna go here.